Hello, Daniel. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me on. Very excited to be here.
Beautiful. And thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Daniel, oftentimes I love to thank my guests for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, Daniel, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest that in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. They say, Daniel, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves are all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Daniel, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, Daniel. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day, and I was so excited. There is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Daniel that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your philosophies, your insights, your book, the impact your work is having, and how you're offering your solutions, my man. This stuff's so beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Daniel is doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to look selfish, and even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Daniel. So thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing like you could do about it. Thanks so much, my man.
Of course. Wow. That was a beautiful analogy. And I'm really honored and grateful to be on the show and looking forward to telling my story because, maybe it can help some people.
Yeah, definitely. Not so sure. Okay, so let's get started, my man. You see,
Okay.
I am quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Daniel, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness, ignorance. I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Daniel on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, Daniel, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information of which I am totally convinced, my man, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, Daniel, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Daniel got here. Then, afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Daniel, my man, over to you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I love your energy and your enthusiasm and your vibe. That makes it much more fun. to have this
Thank you.
conversation. And I'm just honored, as I mentioned, to be here. Um, who I am, my name is Daniel Gundert. I work and live in Southern California. I'm married. I have 5 children, and we all have a gymnastics background. I actually met my wife doing gymnastics when we were kids. She was on the competitive team for the girls. I was on the competitive team for the boys. And so gymnastics has always been a part of our life. And when we ended up getting to the opportunity to purchase a gymnastics school, it just made sense because, we had the gymnastics background, we have the kids to put them in, and now all 5 of our children are competitive gymnasts. They range in age from 10 to 18, and they are range in level from compulsory all the way to level 10 in elite. And our oldest son is looking at potentially going to college at the end of this year, and he loves gymnastics. So it's been a fun journey because gymnastics can teach you a lot about life. And there's a lot of life lessons that you can learn through sport in general. So there's a big part of my life that has to do with sports, gymnastics in particular, which I think is one of the hardest sports in the world, but it's also very beautiful and artistic, and it's the foundation for a lot of other sports. So that's a lot about my personal background. In addition to that, I think my book mostly is about personal struggle as it relates to addiction, because addiction also played a large role in my story. And as we talk about in the book, I had my first drink, my first beer when I was 12 years old, and I just knew that it hit different. It made me feel maybe like an average person would feel that has normal chemical brain balance, which I do not have. I am a crazy, energetic, manic alcoholic, and I used to medicate myself through alcohol and drugs. So in the book, we talk about as I go from my teenage years to my 20s, and I make a lot of mistakes. I try to get sober time and time again. I keep relapsing. I end up back in San Diego after a short stint in Los Angeles. I get married to my wife. We have kids. And then my sobriety starts to slip slowly but surely. The book really revolves around a scene where I come home after a couple days of being gone on a bender. And I'm laying on the floor thinking that it's actually nighttime, but it was morning, like sun was coming up. I was laying face down in the carpet. And in that moment, my daughter, she wakes up and she comes downstairs in her pink pajamas. And she asked me why I didn't come home and put her to bed like I had promised. We had a nickname for each other, Baby Gorilla, because I used to call her my baby girl. One time she misheard me and she thought I said Baby Gorilla. And so we both laughed, and that was our name for each other. She was my baby gorilla and I was hers. So it was a very painful moment having to answer to my daughter why I didn't come home and put her to bed because I was out drinking. And so that was a turning point in my life where I was able to start working towards sobriety one step at a time and start making strides in my business and my personal life where, things with my wife, we started to feel like roommates when I was out drinking, and now we feel like best friends again. I have a deep, rich relationship with my children, and our business has grown tremendously. We started with one location in 2021, and now we have 5 gymnastic schools in Southern California, serving about 6,000 students a week and doing 8 figures in annual revenue. Yeah, we were listed on the Inc. 5000 consecutive years for one of the fastest growing privately owned companies in the United States, which absolutely could not have happened if I continued with drugs and alcohol.
Amazing. Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing your wonderful story. So I wanted to ask, what helped you stay committed to change? You said it was slowly but surely.
Yeah. I think in life, a couple things that I've learned. One of them is slow plus slow equals fast, which for me, slowing down meant I had to work on myself personally before I could advance professionally or anything. And so sometimes life feels so slow when you're in the grind and you have to go back to square one and relearn how to live as an adult. Because when I was learning to be sober, I had to change everything about my life. And it was a real lesson in humility. So there's a saying also that pride comes before the fall. And for me, pride came in the way that I thought that I could get sober on my own without help. And I tried that for 17 years without success with ongoing relapse. And so because I was able to finally commit to a program in a home group, and deeply ingrained in AA, I stay in the center of the herd in the AA herd. And through that, one day at a time, and going to meetings and being of service and right action living and doing something purposeful with my life where I'm serving other people by my company, Jiminy Kids, where we do great things for kids, I was able to turn my pain into my purpose. And I believe that there is great strength in pain. If I have one message, it's that, because that pain almost killed me. But when funneled and channeled in the right direction, pain can be extremely powerful and can do amazing, great things. And so in hindsight, I used to say, why do I have to be an alcoholic? Why do I have to go through this? I went through the pity party of that, because statistically, chronic alcoholics and drug addicts statistically have less than a 10% chance of long-term success and even living very long. And so I used to say, why me? But now, on the other side of it to some degree, and this is a daily battle, it's not like I'm cured of addiction. I can be addicted to anything. On the other side of it now, I say I'm grateful to be an alcoholic because it forced me to change everything about my life, and it brought
Mm,
me to the place where I am now. So instead of having, a pity party about me being an alcoholic, now I'm grateful that I have that, so that it forces me to stay closer to a program that enables me to do good for the community and my family.
mm, mm. I got that. I got that. And thank you for sharing that. So, listening to you speak, and now you talk to us about your wonderful kids and your relationship with them. So, what has fatherhood taught you about leadership?
I think being a parent is one of the most difficult jobs in the world because you don't know if you're doing a good job even when you're trying your hardest. And you have a huge responsibility in raising other small humans. And so your actions speak volumes. And children are a reflection of their parents. And so when there were times where I saw behavior in my children that I didn't like, sometimes that behavior I was unable to see in myself, and they were just reflecting what they saw in me. So having children is like a mirror, and your characters, both good and bad, are reflected in your children. And so through that, I was able to better and clearly see myself because I wanted to be someone that could lead with integrity, not just say one thing, but to be able to live it through example. And children are very smart. They're very intuitive. They don't really care what you say so much. They watch what you do and they understand actions much better. So through that way, I was able to learn and be more honest with myself about my character defects. So that was a big one. And then I was able to then apply that to leadership, both in my business and in my family life.
Amazing. Children don't really watch what they don't really hear what you say, but they watch what you do. Hmm.
Yes.
I got that. I got that. So, it's amazing what you're doing with your wonderful company. So, how did Gemini Kids begin?
Jiminy Kids started in 1987 when I was only 2 years old, actually. Uh, and it was with the founders, Liz and Rob. They started the company in Rancho Bernardo in San Diego. And they started with 60 students on the first year, the first month of opening. And through that, they started serving the community while I was still going to school. Now, when I graduated high school, I came to work for them when I was 18 years old in 2003. And in 2003, I worked every position from coach. I would clean the bathrooms, I would scrub the mats, I would vacuum the
Uh,
floor, and I would teach parent taught classes through higher level teams. Eventually, in 2015, by the way, they are amazing people because they didn't give up on me even when I was going through addiction. And in the book, if you read it, it'll talk about how Liz gave me more chances than I probably deserved. And they don't have children, but they treat their employees like their children. And I felt like her son. And she was amazingly patient with me. And through that, she believed in me before I believed in myself, which really helped me find purpose because there were times where I went through homelessness and other hardship, inpatient, outpatient addiction programs. Through that, she eventually developed me to the point where she got me into management in 2015 and eventually purchased the company fully by 2021. So
wow.
We went from one location with, a couple hundred student when they first started to now we're serving thousands of children a week. But it started off small. It started off with one, and it started off with a married couple that believed in me and treated me like family, even though I was young and very immature and did not deserve it. And so that was another lesson in just amazing grace that they were able to put up with me. And they saw something in me that I definitely didn't see in myself. Yeah. And so I try to pass that on in my business now. And in the book, you'll also read a part about a coach named Eli who was struggling with addiction. And he reached out to me when he was in an outpatient program and he was struggling with drugs and he was homeless. He had lost sight in one of his eyes because he got an infection when he was homeless and it went untreated. And he called it the worst pain of his life, where his infection was draining down his face for months without being able to do anything about it. But when he reached out to me when he was in outpatient program, he said he wanted to better his life. He had a background in parkour and gymnastics, and he wanted to do something with kids. And at first I said no because I thought it was too risky. We were working with children. But then I thought to myself, am I going to be a hypocrite? I'm going to give this guy a shot. So I ended up giving him a chance. He started in the maintenance department for 6 months. I told him if he stayed sober for more than 6 months, we'd start giving him his own classes. And now he's been with our program over 2 years. And I was able to give him a 2-year token at an AA meeting. Now I was able to pass along that gift because someone had done that for me. So it was a wildly gratifying experience.
Amazing, and that's so thoughtful of you. So let's talk about your book briefly. What do you hope readers carry after finishing reading your book?
I want them to understand that there is great strength in pain. And when you're dealing with immense pain, for me, when I was in the depths of addiction, there was incomprehensible demoralization that went along with wanting to quit something but not having the ability to do that. What I've learned is that through that pain, it can shape us, it can build us better, and then we can handle adversities in the future using that same pain. And so, whether you're going through pain now, which most people are to some degree, and it seems like you can't get one good day and there's not light at the end of the tunnel, if you can believe that that pain is meant to better you, then you can do great things. And humans are powerful people when they use that pain for good. And so I know it's hard to see it in the moment. It's hard to feel it when terrible things are happening. But if you trust that, then you can become the person I believe you are meant to be.
Amazing, powerful words. So finally, my man, what advice do you have for people who are rebuilding their lives?
Rebuilding,
Their lives, their lives.
uh, rebuilding their lives. Um, well, like I said before, slow plus slow equals fast. So sometimes it feels so slow and arduous, like you're never going to get there, like you're never going to be able to rebuild your life because life keeps tearing you down. I understand that feeling, but you can and you will have a breakthrough if you do not give up. And in the AA program, we talk about one day at a time. Don't focus too far into the future. Take small, actionable steps that you can do today. Even if that's just getting out of bed and making your bed, if that's all you do, at least that's something. So if you want to rebuild your life, focus on the small things, slow plus slow equals fast, and then think about how you can be of service to other people. Because when I feel at my lowest, the only time I actually feel better is when I get outside of my head, I get out of myself, and I start being of service to other people. The best way to be, when you feel helpless, the best thing to do is to become helpful to other people. And guess what? When you become helpful to other people, you will feel better.
Hmm, hmm. That's a profound one. Wow. When you feel helpless, you go how to become hopeful to other people.
Yes.
And the more you do that, you begin to feel better.
Yes.
That's a profound one, my man. I'm gonna clap for you. So to bring this to an end, Daniel, for folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about the wonderful stuff you're doing, or make a purchase of your amazing book, or even ask you questions, how can that be possible?
They're interested in the book. It's called Baby Gorilla: Addiction, Redemption, and the Road from Rock Bottom to an Eight-Figure Legacy. And you can find it at danielgundert.com, which is my website for the book. And my contact information is also there as well. And there's also a newsletter if you'd like to hear more from me at danielgundert.com.
Awesome, awesome. So that's gonna be the end of the show, my man. Thank you for
Okay.
coming, and thank
Yeah.
you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot, Daniel. Thank you,
Yeah. Thank you for having me on.
man.